Hi and welcome to part 2 of my small little showcase called From Picture to Animation. If you have had the opportunity to take a look on the first video, then you might remember this dwarf model you see here on the right side. It's from the game Stone Hearth. And here on the left side you see the replication which was created in the first video. So it's a voxel model. This was created with a tool which is called Qubicle Constructor. It's a quite nice little tool. You see it here loaded also on the left side of the screen. And I will use it also in this video. So the last time we created the model, you see it's still pale. It doesn't have the colors of the real dwarf, which you see on the right. So that will be part 1 of the movie. This time to color him. And as this might be a little bit boring if you do only a coloring, the second part will be that while I go and color the dwarf, I will also explain the functions and the features of Qubicle which I'm using while doing this. So you will have after this a small introduction to Qubicle Constructor and maybe find your way along a little bit easier. So let's get started. You see here the working area of Qubicle with a nice little grid on the ground. So that's more or less your workbench. The grid you can turn on and off. Up there is a button called ground. I prefer to keep it on because it's just giving me a little bit more orientation, especially if you have more than one model loaded into Qubicle. Then you can turn your model, or you can turn around your model. That's done by holding the Alt key and the left mouse button. So you can rotate here. And holding the Alt key and using the middle mouse button, you can center the model wherever you want on the screen. Zooming is just standard with your mouse wheel. And this gives you quite some good control over your model and to see all the hidden places also, which will come handy when we color now, because we want to color all the sides of the model, of course. Also to navigation, you have here on the top left such a cube. You see it turns with your model and is labeled. So these are predefined viewpoints. Front is a direct front view, and right the same for the right, and so on and so on. So that enables us to have a little bit more comfort if we want to do some detailed work, or if we want to have really the front view and we don't have to align this by ourselves, which is a little bit of pain to do so if you succeed at all. So that's more or less about navigation. Qubicle has also some other nice features included, and they are already included in the trial version, so you can really download it and play around a little bit, which is this turntable. You turn it on and your model will be turned around. So you saw this maybe in one or the other picture which was animated, so a GIF file. So you can actually do the same here. And this is done by, you have here next to the turntable a resolution gate. And you see here it's, for example, 640 by 480 pixels. So that's the size of my file which will be created, the GIF file. And if I let the turntable run, I can align also my model to really fit in there, and not that at the end you just see it turning in the corner, or even it's too big and you don't see the full model in the GIF file. So you can let him rotate, keep the turntable on, put a resolution gate on, and you see how it will look like. If you are happy with it, just go on render turntable as, and then you can just save the file. Let me do this here as a test file, for example. Save it, you see it rendered, and I will just start it when it's finished and you will see the finished product. So here we go. So actually the same model. You see a background. This you can change here under the render settings. So I have this small green color selected. So that will be the background of your GIF file then. So it's quite nice tool also to show off with your creations if they are something you can show off. So that's the base features, I would say, which are interesting. You have here also some camera settings. Actually, you just can switch on one and select it as you would like to have it all the time. Let's say I want a back view of my character as camera 2. Go back to camera 1, you do your work, and for cross-checking you can easily jump to the camera, which was preset by myself to be a back view. And you have a third camera also, so you can do this with another view. So that's quite interesting feature if you work longer on a project and you want really to have always the same angle to take a look how your model develops. So that's about maneuvering here, the views you have, and so on. There is one more, which is here. You see edit modes. So now we are in the model mode. You will see the model, and let me copy it by Control C, Control V, or here up in the menu, copy and paste. And you see I have a second now. The interesting thing is you see here the three lines, the red one, the blue one, and the green one. And everything you copy will be, let me move this one briefly to see it better, will be moved in the origin point of your work area. So this is where these three colors lines are meeting. So you saw I just copy and pasted him, and let me do this one more. They all appear in the middle. So that's an interesting feature which you can actually use, and we will use it in one of the next videos when we separate the body parts. So I don't want to go into detail too much on that one now. I will keep the second copy for the moment. And you see also not only this yellow box, but also the three colored arrows, and they are the same color as the axis here, so you can imagine they allow us to move the model in all the directions. So I will keep him and look into the second edit mode, which is a matrix mode called. And matrix is this yellow borders around your, or are these yellow borders around your model. They are actually the editable area, if you want to say so. So I can enter into this matrix mode either by clicking on it here on the left side or by double clicking the model. And now you see the yellow border turned into white, and I'm in an edit mode. The tools are all available, and I can just start working here on my model. The whole logic with the views here, with the front view, right view, and also with holding down the Alt key, left mouse button, middle mouse button, all applies here also. So it's nothing new. And here we can start working, and actually the first video was created in this mode. So with support of all of these tools, just replicated the model, and now we are going to color it. Let's take a short view on all the features we have here, the tools. So that's just a movement tool, nothing special on that one. Here we have a rectangular marquee tool. Let's go in a front view to show what it does. We can select actually parts of our models with it, and then they get this yellow outline. You see I selected from the front view, and the whole model, the selection is applied for the whole model. So that's an interesting feature if we, for example, work on one part of the model. Let's do here some adjustments. That's the Add Cube tool. So I can add cubes with the color which is preset down here on the left. And if I click on it, I can just change it. I can add here cubes. So let's add something weird. I'm still clicking left mouse button. You see nothing happens because we are actually arriving now here on the end of the matrix. So we are not able to edit outside of the matrix. If we want to do so, we need to alter the add matrix. We will just take a look into this in a second. Here is a delete tool, so I can delete cubes with this eraser. And the idea was now I wanted to show this copy feature. So let's assume I've made here some terrific work on the one side, and I just would like to mirror it on the other side. I could do the same now. Then I need to count where did I do it. Here 2 voxels from the left, and do the same on the other side. Or there is a much easier way. You just delete half of your model. So I use the rectangular marquee tool to select. I select the remaining part, and again, Control copy, Control V, I create a copy of it. So I have now twice one side of my model. Then I go over Modify and Flip and actually confirm, and I have flipped him now, just mirrored more or less, and have now the model completed again with the adjustment. The only thing you need to take care of here is that as I have not cut him exactly in the middle because it's an uneven number of voxels, that's now one voxel too much, so I need to move him a little bit to the left. And here you can combine different two matrices together. So I click on that. With Control D, you can deselect, and you see the model is back again in shape with this error in the brain. So let's remove this one. Okay, so we are going to work on that one. Now, actually the matrix is too big. The model is finished and we don't need all the space around. So let's go in the model mode again, and I want to optimize more or less this matrix. There is actually a button which is called Optimize Matrix, the second from the left up here in the toolbar. If you click it, it will just shrink the matrix to the size of your model. If you need more space because you decided that you want to make some horns on the helmet or whatever, you can click this Resize Tool, and you see here the width, height and depth in voxels. So I can just add a little bit of width and a little bit of height and also depth, and you see in real time here it's added, and I have again space to alter my model. Now I don't want to do this. Let's bring it back. And here is another interesting tool which is called Resize, Stretch, sorry, not Resize. With this one, the model will be just expanded. So you saw just before, if we go to the Resize tool, it will add matrix area, let's say, to alter, but it will not change your model. Now the stretch function will do exactly this. It will stretch your function. So it will also enlarge the matrix to the size you entered, but it will influence the look of your model. So we don't want to do this. Control Z is an undo. So that's what I just pressed. I would like to center him also. So again, I can move with the arrows, or if I'm too lazy, I control him, I copy him in, I'm copying and pasting him in, and then he will appear at the junction of the three lines here. So that's what I want to do. Let's go in again. And we had the first two. Now let's start with the next one. That's the pencil tool. This one actually we will use to color the model. So you see here, I can color either with single voxels just by clicking them, or I define a starting point by clicking it, holding shift and defining an endpoint, and then you will color whole lines. Again, start point, endpoint, start point, endpoint, and holding the shift in the whole process down. Actually, you need to hold it only down after you define the start point. So now I hold shift and that's it. So that's an easy way to color the model and larger areas, larger lines with this tool. Quite nice function. I use it quite a lot. So you wonder maybe why I have the colors already here, which looks somehow similar to that one, because I just preload a map. So if you start off with the standard colors, I clicked here and go on the fill with standard colors. That's the standard colors Qubicle is loading every new page with. Now, actually you can click here on the color which you are using at the moment, preset something, either by color picking it here or including the values for red, green, blue. And then by clicking here on the red color with the plus symbol, it will be added to your color map. Now I did this already with the colors for the dwarf, as this is not so interesting. So I open a color map, I load it in, and there we go. The colors from this picture I actually just got out by using a basic paint tool, where I had also a eyedropper tool. So I wrote down what are the values for the color and yeah, copied them into Qubicle by myself. So not so interesting work, that's why I pre-done this. I think everybody's able to do that by himself. And you see that here you have also this Marquee tool, right? So that's a quite nice tool actually, because you don't have to click it to be used. You can just hold down the control key. So for example, I have these two colors I've worked with. So control key, I'm selecting the color. You see it changed on the bottom left. I can use it now. If I want to use another color, which I used already, just hold down the control key, new color is selected, and we can continue working with that one. Makes it a lot easier to switch between the colors. So also this I use quite a lot. Then we have here an add cube tool. We used it earlier already for this few red voxels, you might remember. So that's actually a tool which I used to create this whole model. And also there it works with holding down the shift and with creating lines of voxels. So you don't need to create every single voxel. You can really create also lines of voxels and delete lines. So I can't repeat this more often or often enough, because that's really a feature which you should use. It's really allowing for much smoother creation of your models, and will take away the pain, and you don't have to click 2 million of voxels like some people claim they have done already now. So here we go. That's the helmet. I have also the yellow color already prepared. So preparation is always something. And I will upload not only the colored model, but I will also upload the color map, if that's of interest for anyone. I just said at the beginning that I will upload all the files I'm working on, so to have a complete picture if you want to repeat that. So here we go. So I just colored in the meanwhile the belt also. Then we have here, let's take a look on the next tool, a rectangle tool that I seldomly use personally, but for coloring big areas. You see it has the same logic as the Marquee tool. That's for sure something of interest. And the eraser tool we mentioned already. Paint bucket, I think the functionality of this one is pretty clear to everyone. Actually, it will color all the voxels with the same color attached to that one you select in the color you have preset. So that's, I think, self-explanatory and something which is quite common in a lot of paint programs in the meanwhile. Now, something which is interesting if you work on your own model, and I would like to demonstrate is, look, I've painted now here the arm in blue, and you see there are some hidden voxels which are in a different color. So again, click here, start, shift on the opposite side, and now take a look, it's covered. Now what is also interesting, if for example you have here some voxels, let me choose this ones for example here, and let's assume that's our own model and we want to play around with the colors a bit, and we did not decide yet how it should look like. Now if you use the paint bucket tool and you for example want to exchange blue by yellow, you have to click here and here twice, because they are not connected, right? They would be connected if, let's delete this one, if this voxel here would be also in the same color. So if I create that one as a yellow voxel, and let's put the other one back so you don't see it, but now they are connected. So if I choose to go back to blue, you see it's only one click. Now 1 click or 2 clicks, that doesn't sound so different, but if you have the whole model colored and you have a lot of this points here, and I had already in the past, then it really is worth to think about building such small bridges that you easily can just later on change the colors. Much more convenient, right? So that's something to keep in mind if you are working in this direction and you want to play around with colors and want to have maybe an easier way to change colors later on and create different variations of your model. So I'm just continuing here with the arms. So slowly getting there. Now let's take a look on the back of this guy. And again, you see me using a lot this shift click technique, if you want to say so, just because it makes work so much easier and is really very convenient to paint larger areas. And also for these situations where you need to reach the opposite part and here the angle is really horrible, then it's a lot of support for us. The problem is also with Qubicle, you cannot go in the model. So even that there is some space here, you are not able to go in there. So you really have to work with the angle, and at some point it's just not possible to improve the angle anymore. So this technique is really very helpful. So I just demonstrate it here once more. You see just the opposite side with the shift and you get the whole area painted. So really interesting feature. Someone thought here really about what he's doing. Really good job. So let's take a look what we have else. So we have then here our fill hollow tool. Actually, I'm not so sure when to use this in an appropriate way, so I'm not that far yet that I'm losing it frequently. So I will not try to even describe how it works and when it does make sense, just not to make you a bit unsecure or tell you something which is not right at the end of the day. What we do have here also is this magic wand, and with this you can select all the fields with the same color. So I think also that's not rocket science. That's something which is quite common to other programs, other tools. So again here, and I think we are done with the blue part. Getting slowly there. So that's actually about this part. We talked about the eyedropper tool, so that should be also fine. And now I just continue to paint here a bit. Here I see there is one voxel not fitting. The colors might not be exactly as in the original picture. I did not spend too much time with that, to be honest, and I'm fine with it. The idea was not to create a one-to-one copy here, but to just show how it works in general, and if someone is really keen on creating the exact copy of that character, then yeah, feel free to post it somewhere in the Stonehearth community or wherever you feel it's appropriate, and share it with the other people. There is actually already a quite big community of people who are creating partially very amazing work. So I'm really looking forward to see some of the mods coming out. It might be very interesting. So if you're not participating yet in the Stonehearth community, just go on stonehearth.net, go there on the forum, and you can just start already working on your own stuff and sharing it with the others. Don't believe that this is all somehow rocket science, what you do and what you see here and what you have to do with Qubicle, what you can do with Qubicle. It's really as easy as you see there. So I'm not talented or gifted, I would say, not above the average at least, and I'm quite happy with the few steps I I've made in the last weeks while I'm trying to get into Qubicle, Blender and similar stuff. So really give it a try. Don't hesitate to share what you are doing with the community. Most of the time people are very polite in giving feedback, let's say it like this way. So you can always get some help, some ideas how to improve, and I think that's what make it very interesting to just share also your work and yeah, constantly get better. And by the time when we have the release window of Stonehearth, which is by the end of the year for the beta, then maybe one or the other has improved his skill that far that yeah, we will just have right from the start some amazing fan work and some great mods. That's actually also the reason why I'm doing all of this here, just to share a little bit what I'm learning, what I think I'm learning with the community, and provide some information, maybe some motivation for people to start doing by themselves. I think it's a lot of fun, and we all will get something out of that, because if we like to play the game, we like to have new content, I guess. So go out there and start playing around. So coming a bit closer to the end, not there yet though. So you see, I'm really trying just to make it somehow look like the dwarf, and I hope you're not too picky that one or the other voxel might be in a different color. So what do we do when we have this dwarf now here? Actually, the next step will be that we need to prepare him to be exported. That's one feature which is not available in the trial of Qubicle. So you have to buy at least the home edition. This is what I'm using here. You see it on the top left, home edition. So you need to purchase it to be able to export into, for example, object files, and that's required to use your model then later on in a tool like Blender, which I will do. Blender is a free tool, so that was actually the criteria for me to get to throw an eye on it, let's say, because simply tools like 3D, SMax or Maya are, let's say, they are expensive, and I really think they are expensive. So Blender is a free tool, has a great community, there are tons of tutorials and a lot of videos online. Some of them you can find in my playlist. I created a playlist with nice videos which I like, which help me to dig a little bit into Blender. So you can just learn a lot from other people, and the community is really willing to share what they are doing. So I just have some troubles finding the right colors at the moment. So yeah, it's really a nice tool which I'm planning to use and trying to support also if there is a chance I can do it. So this whole tutorial here is about also providing a first view on animation with Blender, and yeah, that will be maybe my first contribution in that direction. So I just hope I will manage this all. So all of these videos are developed on the fly, so I'm really hoping I can go there and create something where I can claim that it shares some information and it's not just, I don't know, putting my ego a little bit bigger into the internet, whatever. So here we go with the face. That's the big difference between the dwarf and the humans we saw so far, that they have here a nose, a big nose, where you don't see a nose in the models of the humans. So that's something which is a bit different. They have also different hands at the moment. I'm not so sure if this will remain, to be honest. I could imagine that as this model was developed live in one of the streams, or not developed but reshaped, let's say, from the past design in one of the streams from Radiant Entertainment, I could imagine that it is still the old model of the hands, and in this case it will be changed later on. That's something you have to understand with all the work you are doing now. You should really see it as learning how to do things for later, and should not assume that you can reuse it. It was stated by the developers that they are not very happy at the moment with sharing their real models of the game which they are using, because simply they are not done yet. It can happen that they will change, and they don't want to have the people who invested a lot of time into creating their own models to be disappointed at the end of the day because they have to change them again. So if you really looking into starting working on your own models, then please be aware that it might happen that you will have to rework everything you did. I mean, it still will help you because you will have an easier access to the tools. You know what you are doing. The second time will be much easier, probably at least. Nevertheless, you might have to redo it. So keep that in mind if you start digging into all of this. Nevertheless, for me it's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of things which you are learning here. And yeah, that's actually something which you can do while you're waiting for the game to be released. So I really appreciate working around a little bit here with one or the other thing. So the face looks already dwarfish, kind of. I would claim that this is maybe not success, but getting there. So here it's really tricky sometimes to hit some of the voxels, as I mentioned. When we cut the body parts into pieces to prepare it for animation, we will come back to this point that there are some hidden voxels, because simply if you cut pieces apart from each other, it might happen that some of the voxels become visible, and then we need to color them later on. But that's something we know, right? So we just will wait until it happens, and then we handle the situation. So let me go into the arm now. And some of the voxel colors you might not agree with me, but that's fine. I'm just doing it as I see it on these two screens, and that's everything we have. I did not went back to the stream to see if there are some more information available. As said, it's just a first shot and should provide some base explanation of the whole process from this picture or from an own model to an animation. So it doesn't have to be accurate. It's enough if you recognize what the idea is. And if this looks dwarfish to you, then I can sleep well at night. Okay, so again a hard one to catch. What you could also do with this way to cut the model and copy and paste it is just to paint one side. And actually I wanted to do this in the video, but I think it's also fine like that. It's not such a huge one. It's not to be as fast as possible here. It's more about explaining a little bit what's going on and repeating one or the other step. I think it's never bad. So I just decided at the end to not work on only one half of the model and then copy and paste it together. So we are actually quite progressing. We have only the legs left. So there we go. Now we turn him upside down to do so. And you have to play with the angles a little bit. You see that I use this bluish greenish color as an initial color to create the model. That's because the preset white is sometimes hindering you to see all the different steps and makes it a bit more difficult to create the model. So quite some people, from what I understood, are changing the standard color with which they are working, and the same I do, as you see. But that's again something you need to figure out for yourself, and I think the quality of the model will not be influenced by your approach to do this. So we have the feet soon done. While I'm seeing the hands all the time, I think I might want to change them before we cut the body parts into pieces. Also because later on, if we animate it, it might be easier to animate. Because I like the way how the hands can be animated at the moment with this finger design. And that here my imagination is a little bit limited on how this could look like. But I will think about it for the next part of this small workshop, how to do this exactly. And then we will find out. And again, the idea is not to be perfect. The idea is to share a little bit, let's say, lessons learned. And that's the only goal of all of this here. So we are now at the trousers. Almost there. I think in the back it's the same, but it's actually okay. So there might be a small mistake. We have here 4 pixels, 4 voxels on each side, and then okay, that's 3. Counting also helps sometimes. And then we have this part going in already. Yeah, and that's the no, that's not true. Let's see this once more. So we have the belt, 2 lines, then we have, no, it's true. So this one has to be gone, and I guess it's gone a little bit further, and then this doesn't make sense anymore. Okay, so we have updated already the model a little bit, and yeah, I think I see here a little bit something, but whatever. We take it like it is now, and let's say that this is also part of the trousers, so we color it the same way. And this one also. Okay, so trousers are fine, and now we are missing the belt, which is kind of this color here on the bottom. Okay, and go here, and we see what is in between the arm and the body. Not really. So let's make an educated guess. I guess it is the belt, but this might change later on also. the belt looks weird, but no matter. Let's stay with it for the moment. Okay, and now we are lacking. Actually, I need to take this color for the belt. Okay, correct. Perfect. And this color for the upper part. No, for this part. So you see, you have a lot of potential to improve this model by yourself later on. I don't find this color anymore in my preset here. We go with this one. Oh, that might even be the right one. And finally, we need to paint the end of the shirt. And there we are. So I think that's it. We see now, just have a check. All the voxels seem to be colored. Perfect. Let's save this guy. So yeah, that's it. I hope that it was somehow interesting, even if it was just coloring the... there is one more voxel down there. Even if it is only the coloring of a model, which is not so interesting, next time it might be a little bit more content in there. However, maybe one or the other comment on the cubicle was interesting for you. So that's it for today. Thanks a lot for passing by, and stay tuned for the next part of the workshop then. Bye.